All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I begin by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Ruach Kodash. That belongs to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone Well. Peace, blessings, salutations to the elect that is out there pushing, laboring, believing, and listening all to His truth with our sincerity. I already made a blessed election be upon your houses. All right, as you can see, from this video, this clip that I'm gonna play here. I'm really going to title this lesson, all right, these people are getting desperate. All right, and this video is titled, right, this man puts vegetable oil in his gas tank as more affordable alternative to diesel. All right, I'm going to just play this clip. Right, and as you can see in the clip, this guy is pumping, vegetable oil into his tank. All right, going to show you how, these inflations, these gas prices are making people get desperate, man. Right. And I was looking into this, using the vegetable oil or cooking oil as an alternative for gas or diesel. All right. And, from the research that I found, all right, it said, it's only for old vehicles, one, and two, for diesel vehicles. And the thing is, you have to make, certain alterations, right, or changes to your engine to be able to even run it, because it would have to be able to warm the oil up to at least 70 degrees, right, where it would have the same viscosity, right, as regular diesel, right. But you have people that seeing videos like this, right, on social media, right, and they'll just go put it in their 2015, 2021, 2026, whatever year, more recent, newer model vehicles, and thinking it would work, man. Whole time they're just ruining their cars, man. All right. And I have this here from Chat GPT right here. Right. And I just typed in, can use vegetable oil as a substitute for gas on a car. Right. Right. And it says gasoline engines, right, vegetable oil cannot be used directly. Right. And when you go to the diesel engine, says these are a bit more flexible. Diesel engines rely on compression ignition, which can handle thicker oil. Some people have used wasted vegetable oil as fuel, but only after proper processing. Right. And when you go down, it says bottom line, right, for gasoline cars, no, for diesel cars, yes, but only if you modify the engine and heat filter the oil. Otherwise, it's a recipe for an expensive repair. So you have these people who are getting ready to take, these drastic measures, with their vehicles, due to these gas prices, man. Right. This is the time that we are in, man. And shit, I wouldn't be surprised if, due to people doing this, right, if they're successful or not, that, you go into the grocery store and try to buy some oil and they'll make the price of the oil go skyrocket, man. $30 for, a container of oil, man. Let me grab this. All right, this is Second Esdras, the 16th chapter. Salakia, one sec. Second Esdras, the 16th chapter, verse 21, and it reads, "Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth that they shall think themselves to be in good case." And keep in mind, at a point in time, right, you could put gas in your car, $2 a gallon, $1.50 a gallon, take it back to like, the 50s, 40s, people paying cents for a gallon, man. Right. The cost of living wasn't as high as it is now, right? This hyperinflation that we're seeing right now wasn't as bad. So, hey, people was living it up, man. Even too, during the time of the pandemic, when all these different government assistances and all this money was getting thrown out, these stimulus checks, these unemployment benefits, these PPP loans, all these things was happening, man. People was like, hey, I'm good, man. I got money. Right. But now look at them. All right, let me continue on. It says, and even then shall evils grow upon earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. Right. So people thought it was all good, cupcakes and rainbows. They had money. The prices of things was good. But now look at them. Right. The tides have turned. Right. Inflation has happened. right? The cost of living has gone up. The wages have decreased. The job market is bad right now, man. I was talking to a brother about the job market, man. You got individuals that's going, months up to a year trying to find a decent paying job and cannot find it, man. A lot of companies doing hiring freezes, doing employee cuts, downsizing, terminations, and so forth, man. Right? To where it gets to the point where people are taking drastic measures like this. And people don't even have the proper knowledge to understand their vehicles properly. They gonna be messing up their cars, man. Because right now, right, the average price of gas in Babylon right now is $4.53 for regular, right? And the average price for a premium, right now, okay, is $5.40. Okay. And we see here yesterday it was at $4.51 and went up a week ago, $4.50, a month ago, $4 flat. So we're seeing these gas prices just fluctuating up, down, but it's being in that 450 range, man. Right? Damn, it's basically about to be at $5 a gallon, man. I remember when I was younger, you could give someone, you need a ride, to go somewhere, you hanging out, they'll just be like, hey, give me five for gas, put five for gas. But that's not going to cut it anymore, to where you're going to start seeing people bug out, putting vegetable oil, canola oil, putting the different types of gas, cheaper gases in the cars, and the engines can't even handle it, man. Right? The Babylonian economy is crumbling. The people are not stable. Right? It is truly an illusion of stability. Right? These people pretend as if everything is okay. Pretend as if, the world is all right. Pretend as their life is okay. But in reality, it's not. Right? Majority of people cannot survive in Babylon right now. All right? Because they get paid and that check go out quick. All right? Same day or by the next day, they're back broke. Penny pinching, until that next check come. This is how we're truly seeing the downfall of Babylon America, witnessing day by day how this place is circling the drain. Okay. This is a Haggai, the first chapter, verse 6. It reads, you have sown much and bring in little, right? Jake be on that plantation busting their ass, man. Right? You be working, you got Jake working 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week, 80 hours a week, to then get a check that's not even sufficient to, pay their bills, survive in this place, man. Right? That is the day-to-day life, for your average Babylonian in this place, man. Right? And the majority of them that's not in that cycle, right? They either sold out to these devils or whatever the case may be, man. All right. But for the majority of people in this place, they're busting their asses working deadly hours to then get pennies on a dollar. Right? And we continue on. It says, ye eat, but ye have not enough. Ye drink, but ye are not filled with drink. Ye clothe you, but there is none warm. And he that earneth wages to put it into a bag with holes. And that is exactly what it's like in this place. The money comes in, then it comes out. It comes in and it comes out. Right? You could look at it in the sense of, you go out to a field, right? You're harvesting your crop. You out there for hours on end. You finished, you look into your bag, and it's empty. Whole time there was a hole in there you didn't even realize. That's what it's like in this place. It's like a hamster that's running on that circle treadmill nonstop, thinking that they're moving, thinking that they're getting to a certain distance or further, but in reality they're not. They're staying stationary, right? This place is finished, right? That's why the scripture tells us in Micah, right? Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, right? This place is not our rest. This place is not the end all be all. This place is not the kingdom, right? This place is not going to get better. It's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. And when it does get better, that's when Yahweh Shai returns, right? And the nation of Yasharallah is in rulership, man. That is what we're looking forward to, man. We are, hastening and waiting for the return of Yahweh Shai, man. Because right now, the wicked are in authority. Right now, the world is highly defiled and polluted and demonic and wicked, man. We want this place to get worse, because when we see it get worse, that means we're closer to the end and closer to the beginning of our rulership. Right? So like the video cut out. But nevertheless, right? Prepare to see more and more people, doing drastic things in order to maintain this place. Things such as putting oil into their tanks, looting, stealing, all right, putting people to death, right? The time of Jacob's trouble is near, right? We're seeing the chess pieces being put in the proper place, in the proper order for it to happen. It's just a matter of time until this society truly, collapses and these people bug out, right? This society is being held together by a very, very thin string, right? These people are one meal away from truly bugging out in this place, man. One eviction notice away, one foreclosure away, one paycheck away from really bugging out in the streets, man. Okay? But Babylon pushes that narrative of peace and tranquility and everything is okay when it's not. This is Revelation 6:6, right? And it reads, "And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine." Right? And that's ultimately us seeing these hyperinflations right now, man. Right? Because, prior, a few years back, few months back, things were somewhat affordable, way cheaper, way affordable, I should say, than it is now. So prepare to see it, get a lot worse, a lot more expensive in this place, man. Right? I was having a conversation, with this individual, who owns, a couple of chickens, right? And they said, during the time when, the cost of chickens was going up during the pandemic, they were maintaining off of their chickens, man. They were like, we couldn't afford going to the store, They were utilizing their chickens to basically survive and feed their family. They even were using it to ultimately like barter with their neighbors, man. Like, hey, I give you a couple chickens for this or that. Going to show you 2 things, right? One, the money in this place is going to be obsolete, right? Look at the book of Eli. Money basically meant nothing. Look at the movie I Am Legend with Will Smith. Money basically meant nothing. All right. Even Leave the World Behind. All right. And another thing too. Okay. The other thing also, right, is these people are going to be in the sense of being very barbaric, because keep in mind, right? Yep, they were able to do, the bartering and being friendly with their neighbors. But when it gets to the point where there's no law and order, there's no fear of consequences, because that's the only thing that's keeping these people civilized right now, is the fear of consequences, fear of the punishment, the quote unquote law and order. Once that is gone and out the window, these people are going to be real barbaric out here, right? Putting each other to death for 1 egg. All right. So it's going to get real bad. These people are already desperate. They're going to get more desperate, right? Seeing things like this is truly just the tip of the iceberg, man. Right? The tip of the iceberg. Right? Because now you're going to see people going from oil to trying to put whatever in their engines, to try to, get their cars up and running. And if they don't got the proper knowledge of, understanding what their car is, which majority of people don't even understand their cars, they're going to be just destroying their vehicles, man. But hey, I'm going to wrap it up with that. Lord willing, this was edifying to the elect of Israel. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakwakadash, the belongs to the elders and apostles of great mills from the well. Peace, blessings, salutations to the elect. Until next time, Shalom, and Abba, Kwame Sharala, Shalom.